thank you very much for attending the press conference this morning. My name is Rhonda Reda, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Ohio Oil and Gas Energy Education Program. What we're going to talk about here this morning is our Ohio Economic Impact Study. This Economic Impact Study has been underway since November of 2010. It is an update to our 2008 Economic Impact Study, which at that time primarily focused on difference in drilling, exploration, and production between urban and rural areas. This study was conducted by Klein Hansen Associates, a very well-known firm that has done a number of economic impact studies, not only here in Ohio, but across the state. The data source, because I think this is extremely important, our data source was a wide variety of specific surveys conducted by Ohio's natural gas and crude oil industry. It is also, most of this data we did receive under confidentiality agreements, because at the end of the day we are looking at 5-year projections, especially the Utica Shale, and this was received from various sectors of the Ohio oil and gas industry. We had a large project committee that included both very small oil and gas operators to very large oil and gas operators. The project committee also included a number of the pipelines, and it was also further critiqued by folks such as Marietta College. Marietta College happens to be one of the oldest petroleum engineering schools in the country, so we always have advanced technologies, and we're very fortunate to have Marietta College here in the state. It was also further critiqued by the Ohio State University, as well as Zane State College and Central Ohio Technical College. What is included in the study, and we do have a full copy of that study available for you, as well as any of the tables and graphics. It is a current state of the oil and gas industry. And so these are actual numbers based on the exploration, production, and drilling activities going on right now in the state. The second part of that study is what everybody is anticipating here in Ohio, and these are projections in a particular geological formation known as the Utica Shale. Now, the Utica Shale is not new to the industry. We have been producing or drilling through the Utica Shale for more than 100 years. But the ability to access those reserves in a commercial quantity is what is new to the state. The primary highlights of the study will include the reinvestment of revenues here in the state of Ohio, our impact on gross state product here in the state of Ohio, royalties which would be paid to landowners. These could be private landowners, these may be schools, these could be businesses, and that is what the study focused on, and those royalties are just for here in Ohio, as well as tax revenues here in Ohio. And certainly what we are all very excited for is the projection on significant job growth that we're going to see in the next 5 years. At this time, I'm going to turn over the results of the actual study to Jerry James. He is president of Artex Oil Company. He is also our past chairman of the Ohio Oil and Gas Energy Education Program, and he was a significant contributor among many other producers to this economic impact study.
Thank you. It's good to be here this morning with you. My name is Jerry James. I'm a petroleum engineer from Marietta, Ohio. Before I get into all the facts and figures, because there's a lot of them, I want to step back and talk a little bit of why energy, why you should care. We'll go through a little bit of the historical, the economic, and the technical parts of this. As a native Ohioan, if you ask me to describe Ohio, I would tell you we're a manufacturing state. We make things in Ohio. What you may not realize is the reason we're a manufacturing state and everything is because we have energy. Before Texas ever produced oil, before Saudi Arabia ever produced oil, the leading producer of oil in the world was Ohio. The leading producer of oil in the world was Ohio in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And when you tell people that, they always look at you funny, particularly from Texas. But you actually kind of know that because Marathon Oil Company is in Felmy, Ohio. We're a worldwide exploration company. The Standard Oil Company started in Cleveland. What we have in Ohio is we first developed reserves. The modern petroleum industry starts in our state. Once we develop the oil and gas reserves, then we develop the industry. In the late 1800s, Felmy, Ohio discovered natural gas. Within 1 year, 50 industrial concerns opened in Felmy, Ohio. So when you look around Ohio, you see us, we produce things like glass, steel, and rubber. The reason is we have energy. That worked real well for us until the 1970s, when energy started becoming short supply and the price went up. And if you're a native Ohioan, you kind of realize ever since then, we've been struggling. Well, what's changed right now is there's a game changer going on. What you may not realize in the present day is natural gas production last year hit an all-time high. We repeat that again, you never hear that. Natural gas production hit an all-time high. And the reason is we went back to the source of where oil and gas is produced. And that's the technical part. Oil gas traditionally is produced from sandstones or limestones. And the reason is they have void spaces in them, and that's where the oil and gas accumulates. But if you've ever looked at a sandstone or limestone, they tend to be light brown or gray. That's not where the oil and gas originated, because oil and gas, as you all know, is dark colors. But the reason it's dark colors is it's dead critters. And it originated in a shale. We always knew the source of the oil and gas was the shale, but we didn't have the technology to unlock the shales to produce it. That's the game changer that's went on. That's why natural gas production is at an all-time high. Oil production is actually increasing. If we continue to open up the Gulf of Mexico, actually oil production is out for the first time in a generation. When you see that, you ask, well, what difference does that make to the average consumer? Natural gas production is down almost 75% from its peak in price from 3 or 4 years ago. Oil production in this country, the price of oil is 25% less in the United States than it is on the worldwide market. There's been a huge change in the prices as the production increased. So when I go through a lot of these numbers, you've got to put some context to it. You cannot have a healthy economy unless you have available and affordable energy. That's the key to everything. That's how Ohio became an industrial state. That's how the United States became an industrial state. And hopefully with these shales, we're back to doing that again. First we'll go through the existing production we have in Ohio. It's kind of interesting. I said Ohio is the leading producer of oil in the world. We've had 274,000 wells drilled in the last 150 years. We have a vibrant industry in Ohio, which is partially why we have the advantage to take advantage of these shales. We're going to gross several $100 million in existing conventional wells in the state of Ohio this year. If you added up the value of all the oil and gas in Ohio and put it in present day dollars, it'd be $125 billion historically has been produced from the state. Keep in mind, all the oil and gas historically been produced from the state migrated from these shale formations that we're getting ready to explore right now. Our gross regional output is nearly $1 billion from the existing wells we have right now. The total output is $1.7 billion. In the last 10 years, we've paid nearly $1 billion to Ohio landowners in the form of royalties. Paid nearly $33 million even in a down year in 2010 in taxes. Personal income, we generate nearly $800 million in the state of Ohio. I'm going to go to a little bit in Utica Shale. I want to mention one thing. I'm going to jump over one slide. There's already 12,000 jobs generated from the upstream oil and gas production energy industry in the state of Ohio. We already have an extreme infrastructure. Rhonda Reda mentioned that we have Marietta College's Petroleum Engineering School. To show you how rare it is, there's only 18 petroleum engineering schools in the entire United States, and we already have one in the state of Ohio. I want to talk a little bit about the Utica Shale. We'll back up for a little bit just so you can see this. This is the surface right here. This is the fresh water. As you go down, there's the Brea sandstone. For those familiar with the oil and gas industry, a historical area we produced. As you go on down, there's the Clinton sandstone right here. And then we have the Utica shale down here. Rhonda Reda mentioned we've actually drilled through the Utica shale a number of times. Our company alone has drilled through the Utica shale in the last 10 years 200 times. So we know it's down there. The question is, can we produce it economically? The projections you're about ready to see will will show what will happen if we can produce it economically. In other words, it's difficult for the average person to understand. They said, well, you know what's down there. I said, if I knew what was down there, I wouldn't be the leading driller of dry holes in the state also. So we don't know until we drill it. That's the one thing we've got to do. We have to drill it.